Welcome, family. Welcome again to another powerful edition of the Global Leaders Roundtable. This is the Fireside Chat edition, and I'm super excited for you to tune in to another great conversation that we're getting ready to have at the virtual round table. Come on in, begin to tag, like, and share. Let people know that you are a part of this conversation so they can jump in and be a part of it too. I am sure that today's conversation is going to provide wisdom keys and nuggets for you, spiritual nuggets, even for you to be able to implement in your life, especially in the areas of your leadership journey. And so I'm super excited about that. For those of you who do not know me, I'm your host, Kenyon R. Dudley, keynote speaker, leadership global strategist, and founder of the prophetic growing platform here where kingdom leaders gather and visions ignite and global movements are born through the ideas that we raise, the conversations that we have. My life's mission is rooted in one thing. It is to say something that transforms someone's life, someone's thinking, and to introduce them to God. And in introducing them to God, hopefully introducing themselves to themselves. We hold conversations right here on this platform in that vein and in that matter, conversations that awaken vision and stir strategy in you. And hopefully, it's going to equip you to lead boldly in both ministry and marketplace. And so, super excited that you are here and that you are attuned to what we're getting ready to talk about. For those of you who are on my YouTube channel right now, TGLR Network, welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of the ecosystem over there. We've got so much content already on the page. And then our team is gearing up to share more content throughout the rest of the year. You do not want to miss a beat. All right. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Right now, we are starting within the format of just a simple podcast and fireside chats. But trust me, God has given me a vision to evolve this into something that is going to be phenomenal and is going to continue to reach the global masses. And I'm telling you, you want to be a part of that. So make sure that you stay tuned and that you subscribe and share with your network of other friends and family members and leaders to subscribe as well. I promise you, what we're serving up here is information, revelation, and hopefully innovation. Okay. Before we dive into this conversation, and before I actually introduce my guest, of course, got a few announcements, right? I want to make sure that you know what is happening here around the virtual global leaders roundtable. Of course, if you want to be a guest on this platform, there are so many leaders and speakers out there, kingdom leaders and speakers who are doing their thing. And this is what this platform is all about. If you have a leadership journey, if you have a strategy, an idea, that big idea is not just for you and for your community domestically. I believe it's for our global community. Why don't you go ahead and apply to be on the show? Go to bit.ly/TGLR podcast, and you can join the wait list. And myself, my team, we personally go through the applications and we pray. And those individuals that we believe have been assigned for this moment, we will invite them to come to the show. And who knows, you might be the next person. All right. And then we have our Global Leaders Virtual Summit coming up. I'm super excited about this one, guys. I'm telling you because God gave me a vision. I said, I'm going to have over 60 Kingdom Global speakers from around the world to actually converge in one place digitally. We're going to talk and share our ideas, our journey and leadership, our strategies, and we're going to help people around the world with the most innovative information. So, guys, we've got folks from the tech industry, we've got folks from government and politics, media and entertainment, the medical industry. Guys, we've got individuals from all types of industries and spheres of the marketplace, even in ministry. You do not want to miss it. If you want to be an attendee to go ahead and soak up all of this wisdom and knowledge, go to bit.ly/TGLR virtual summit now and purchase your ticket. And if you want to be a speaker, you can apply at the same link to apply and be a speaker and be a part of that lineup. We've got some heavy hitters. And as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think our special guest is a part of that lineup as well. I think I remember seeing his information. And so that's making me equally excited to speak with him today and have him share with you. You're going to get a dose of what he'll be sharing later on September 20th through the 21st. All right, guys. So listen, I'm excited about the conversation today. My guest is a powerhouse. He is the definition of a modern day Nehemiah. That's what I'm saying. He's building vision. He's restoring foundations. He's bringing blueprints from heaven into the marketplace and into ministry and other spaces. Eric Hamilton is a kingdom entrepreneur, financial strategist, and visionary leader who equips people to steward wealth with wisdom, execute vision with excellence, and to lead marketplace initiatives with prophetic integrity. He's not just talking impact, he is building it, guys. And today, he's here with us to release insight that's practical, spiritual, and power packed. Why don't you help me welcome my new friend and brother? I think he lives in the same area I live in. We got to make sure of that when he comes here. Help me welcome Eric Hamilton. Brother, what's going on with you, man?
Hey, Kenyon, you know how you bring folks in. I don't know if you remember the Kings of Comedy, but they talked about how
Yeah.
Steve Harvey, when he brings folks in, he bring them in. Bro, you do a good job of bringing some folks in. So
Wow.
absolutely pleased and a pleasure to be a part of the show. And I am looking forward to the virtual summit because I will be one of the speakers. So that is right
Yes.
before my birthday. So we're going to have a powerhouse full of events going on. So kudos to you
Oh,
and
man, well, I'm just excited that you're gonna be there. I'm excited that it's gonna be right before your birthday, so that's gonna be a great deal. I'm telling you, it's gonna be phenomenal. I've been telling folks it's gonna be impactful and valuable for not just those who are attending, but also for the speakers. I mean, we've got some good stuff set up for y'all that you don't know yet, but just for your time, we want to be a blessing, and so I'm excited and thank you for that compliment, brother. I appreciate it. I do my best.
Absolutely. I just want to say real quick, you said something I think was really powerful in your introduction, how you talked about you just
Mhm.
want to say something that sparks an idea in others. And
Yep.
I think if we really we can there's a lot of information that's on social media and just out there. And
Yep.
if we can just take a bit in pieces and apply it to what we're doing, I think no one's being asked to transform overnight.
Exactly.
But just like anything, you just take the little bits as you grow, and eventually it will begin to soak in, and you will transform yourself over time. So I love what you said about just sparking an idea, and I hope during this conversation we can spark an idea too that hopefully leads somebody to Christ
Yeah.
or lead them into their entrepreneurship, whatever that looks like. So I just wanted to say I love that intro.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. That's my life's mission. Seriously, God gave me that years ago in prayer, and I was like, "What am I here for?" And that's something that we all, as leaders in our respective places, should always ask
Yeah,
every day. And it evolves, right? It evolves over time and in different seasons and places and spaces. But definitely, that's one of the things that I know I'm here for, to say something in different forms,
yes,
but to say something that's going to spark that idea, that innovation in somebody. And I think this conversation is going to do the same today because we're actually talking about the kingdom blueprint. I like that. We're going to be talking about some wealth strategies, vision. We're going to talk about marketplace. And so before we do that, brother, why don't you just formally introduce yourself to our viewers? Let us know which part of the world you're in. I think you're in my region.
yeah.
And then also, what is it that God has you doing in particular right now in this season?
Absolutely. So again, pleasure to be a part of this journey with you, Eric Hamilton. I'm currently based down in Dallas, Texas. I'm originally from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Moved down here about 10 years ago because it was too cold up north, and the economy is outstanding in Texas. So, two reasons why I moved down. Now, what I do on a day-to-day basis: first, I work in corporate America. So I'm an executive for a SaaS firm. So I oversee a sales team. So I've been in sales a very long time. And
Awesome.
so what I eventually did is I took all of those 25 years of sales and sales leadership in corporate America, and I applied those practical principles to my book, which is called The Sales Blueprint. So I'm an author,
Mhm.
released my first book last year. From then, what I've been doing is now, there's instant credibility when you write a book. So now I've been doing some sales coaching. So
Yes.
I've got professionals and entrepreneurs and even single parents that reach out, and we're coaching on basic strategies that we use in sales, which is really around preparation. I
Hmm.
think sales gets an interesting connotation around it, but it's really how you prepare for success in every aspect of your life. And then lastly, I got a financial literacy piece that I do on a morning talk show on a consistent basis. And that was just sparked because of a need. I think our people, we need to be financial literate. And so I spend time to make sure that I'm delivering in a way that is very practical, it's foundational, and I build on it each and every week. I never want to overtalk or overthink. It's just keeping it very simple in everything I do. So that's a little bit about me and what I'm doing.
I think it's powerful what you're doing. It is, you don't need me to say this, but I think everybody would agree that it is absolutely necessary what you're doing. A lot of people, and having come from sales myself, and having come from corporate America, I understand the amount of work that it takes, the strategy that it takes to actually get to where you need to go as far as get to the sale and get people the services and the products that they so desire. Some
Yeah.
don't know that they need it
Yeah.
until they meet you. And so I love what you're doing in corporate America, but I also love what you're doing now with your own personal brand, that you're bringing these tools, these financial tools, these, tools from sales and being able to share it with those who are following you. Um, I say this life, in every area, you need to know how to sell yourself. You need to know how to sell your product, your service, your vision, your mission. How important is it for individuals who are listening in right now to learn the fundamentals? We'll start here, the fundamentals of selling, and really getting people to believe and to know what they're offering is not just another gimmick or anything like that, but it's absolutely something that is going to be impactful and valuable for their life.
Yeah. So that's a really good question. I think what I first like to do is remove the word sales. Let's
Okay.
insert another word. So let's insert a word of being able to recommend. So
Okay.
here's what we're doing. If you think about your business, any business that you have, or let's make it even more simplistic. When you meet someone, that first impression, that's your brand. They have a perception about you the first time that they meet you.
Right.
Good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is, like that begins their perception of your brand.
Mhm.
When we think about some of the most prominent brands in America, your Apples of the world, your Amazon, there is a perception that we have maybe based on what we've heard, our experience, or whatever that is.
Mhm.
So, thinking of you, when you introduce your show, what you're doing, all of this is your brand. Your
Yes.
brand is all of this. So, I think when we make recommendations, when I have a conversation with a Fortune 500 company or with a single parent that's having a conversation, I'm not selling them or teaching them how to sell. What I want them to do is if you ask the right questions, you ultimately can make a recommendation.
Mhm.
If you were to ask me, hey, have you had a good steak lately? I could make a recommendation. But
Right.
here's the challenge. A lot of people, I don't want to preach the gospel or I don't want to sell anybody. You're not. It's a recommendation. What
Yeah.
we're doing is I have something that's valuable. I've got the power of Christ where I can introduce you to Christ, but I'm nervous to do it because you might reject me.
Right.
But ultimately, if you had $1 million and you can show other people how to get $1 million, you're just going to say, hey, let me walk you through. Like, again, just keeping it really, really simple. Everything that we do is built upon your personal brand, whether
Mhm.
we like it or not. And what we have to do is try to make sure that that brand is prominent each and every time. I represent my personal brand, my Hamilton Sales Academy, everywhere I go. A lot
Mhm.
of people are wearing like Nikes and stuff. So we're representing Nike, we're representing Louis Vuitton, like, and all these other things. What about your own personal brand?
Right.
What
I,
do we think? I recommend that.
I think what you're saying here is really powerful, and it's worth us kind of hanging around this for just for a moment, because you said something that's phenomenal. You said Everybody has a personal brand, whether you like it or not. Everybody has a personal brand. Now,
Yeah.
whether you are developing that brand intentionally
Mhm.
or you're just letting things happen, which I think is kind of dangerous, you know, you have a personal brand. People have a perception of you. People think things of you and what you're bringing to the table, to the room, what you're offering. And so, how important is it for individuals? And we'll just bring it down for a moment because we're going to go back to business owners and entrepreneurs and all of that, but individual basis. How important is it for individuals to realize that you must be totally clear on who you are and who you are becoming before you walk in a room if you want a certain response or
Yeah.
if you want a certain buy-in, if you will, of who
Yeah.
you are.
I love it. So I would say this: you got to set a standard for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give a quick story. So my son is a ninth grader, so he's in high school, and the dress apparel nowadays is like almost house shoes and almost wearing like flannel jogging, not jogging pants, like sleeping gear. It's almost
Yeah.
like to look like you don't really want to be there is the
Right.
look of the kids. And again, I'm not knocking anything, but I always tell my son, set a standard for yourself. Just
Mm-hmm.
because others are doing something, that doesn't mean that you have to do it. And you can transition that to every aspect of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like hypothetically, hey, I feel like I want to lose some weight. All right, set a standard for yourself. What are you going to do to lose that weight? Well, for me, I'll give an example. For me, I set a standard after reading a book that focused on habits of millionaires. And here's what I seen: it was a 5 o'clock club.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this 5 o'clock club, this is one of the things, 5 o'clock club is that most millionaires wake up at 5 o'clock. Why? Well, because it's quiet and they get up early so they can accomplish more in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't traditionally wake up at 5 o'clock. Why are you waking up so early? But I said, you know what? Because this is what they're doing, let me try it. And
Right.
ultimately, it became a habit. It became a pattern. Now I don't sleep past 5 o'clock. My alarm clock doesn't have to wake me up, but I had to train myself. I set a standard for myself.
Mm.
So no one's holding me accountable. If I'm up at 5:30, my wife isn't saying, "Hey, you overslept." It's me holding myself accountable. And I think individually and business wise, we have to set a standard for ourselves, not anyone else setting a standard, and we hold ourselves accountable to it. If we do that more often as a people,
Mm-hmm.
we will get much further by setting a standard and holding our own self accountable.
This is, and I hope people are really listening into this because this is how you set the stage for how you're going to be treated in life. And I tell this to my kids too. I have slightly younger kids than you do, but I'm even still, trying to instill this in them: how you present yourself,
Yes,
how you show up before you even open your mouth. You're telling the world
yes,
how to treat you.
yes,
You know
yes,
what I'm saying? And I've just recently had to, make some adjustments myself because this is an ongoing thing, right? One of the things for me personally was, hey, I need to make sure that where I'm going next, I have the stamina for it, right?
yes,
And so the exercising and all of that was sporadic, during this past season of my life. What you're talking about as far as training yourself, I'm already an early bird. So why not go and take that walk around the lake,
yes,
right? Why not
yes,
go ahead and just jump into the day with prayer and, really stretching and exercising and doing the necessary things to make sure that when you show up in the next season, even, and now we're talking spiritually,
yes,
that when you show up in the next season, in the spirit, all things know that you're ready for it, right? Because you presented yourself, you begin to set standards and goals for yourself. I love this. um Talk to me about, Eric, how you even got into this world of kingdom leadership and marketplace and leading in sales and leading in corporate America. How did you even get to this place?
yeah. I think fundamentally, I'll go back a little ways. So I
Hmm.
did not grow up in a church or in a home that went to church. right?
Mhm.
And it wasn't something that was practiced at my home. And I remember when I went to college, I went to Western Michigan University,
Mhm.
and we had a division of minority affairs, which that's a whole different subject that's under attack right now. But they had a division of minority affairs that focused on diverse folks that came into college just to prepare them for, especially that freshman year. There was a gentleman that was there named Lindsay E. Bell. And he used to talk to us about the importance of Black men being visible and vocal on campus. Now, at the time, as a 17, 18-year-old young man, I was like,
Right.
okay, yeah, I hear you. Okay, let me go out and, have a little fun. Fast forward maybe 10 years. I seen him in the store. This is divine right here. I seen him in a store, he and his wife, and I was with my wife at the time.
Mhm.
And he was buying this big old TV in Target. And I remember he said, hey, Ham, he said, I am now a pastor of a church. And I was like, that's cool. That's cool. You get that uncomfortable. We talk about, look, you want to make somebody uncomfortable, just pick up the Bible and look at you're either
Right.
going to get or oh. So I was one of them like, oh man. And so look, so he said, just come check me out whenever you have a chance.
Sure.
At that time, I was very curious about this whole Christianity. Not that I didn't believe it, I was curious. I wanted to learn for myself. I was kind of on a little mission. So I was bouncing from church to church trying to figure it out. So I decided, let me go to this church. Let me go just
Mhm.
sit down. Let me see what's happening. And I remember it was an old church. The benches were like taped up, and the Sunday school session, everybody was old. And at the time I was pretty young. So
Right.
everybody was old.
Right.
But look, here's what changed. This was the first time that I was in a group where we were talking about the Bible openly and I can ask questions.
Mm.
And you know what? From then on, I became hooked on Sunday school. I didn't want to go to church. I was on Sunday school. So I would go and then I would leave right afterward. And I remember Pastor Bell, he called me on the way out. He said, hey, where you going? I said, look, I love what's going on. So long story short, I started to enter church. I used to sit in the very back pew. Slowly but surely, I was moving up pews. I'm like, how am I getting closer? He believed in me. He invested in me. And
Mm.
shortly, I became a youth director. Then I moved to becoming an ordained deacon at the church. And
Wow.
then I found myself engulfed into it. And I became a better father, a better husband, a better son, a better cousin, better uncle, and everything else.
Yeah.
And what I really realized is the mission and ministry that I had is like leadership is an aspect of ministry.
It is.
And I could do these things that I'm passionate about and learn these kingdom principles, and I can apply them to the corporate America, which I was already in corporate America, but now I can apply these principles. So now I'm at the point where everything I do is rooted in kingdom principles
Mm.
because I think it's important that my reputation and what I'm doing, I want at the end of the day, I don't care about a sale or anything else. My integrity and who I represent should
Wow.
show through every chance I get. So that was a long answer, but I wanted to make sure I brought
No,
it
I
through.
love that. That wasn't long at all. No, that was perfect. I love for people to share the history. Where do you come from, and what were the things that you came through, and what forged you, right, to become the person that you are now? Because I think younger leaders, aspiring leaders, look at folks like us, and they think it happens overnight. Number one, and they think that it's just okay. You have to be at the pinnacle of perfection, and that your journey has to be perfect. And the truth of the matter is, everyone comes from different walks of life, different places and spaces, especially in kingdom leadership. I'm always interested in how God uses Holy Spirit to add someone else to, I call us the superhero team. I'm always interested in hearing that because I think we're all Avengers.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have our own giftings and talents and skills, and He just deploys us and sends us out into marketplace and industry and say, represent me in my power. So I'm always interested in that. Would you say that there was a time in your life that how do I want to say it? Would you say that there was a hard time or a thing that you experienced in your life that made you want to become much more of a student of financial literacy and stewardship? Is that what is that thing that happened
Yeah.
that made you say, I want to be on top of this and I want to teach others how to
Yes.
be on
Yeah.
top of it?
So really good question. And to your point, like nothing happens overnight.
Hmm.
Everything evolves. Like I was not, my daughter even asked me sometimes, she's like, Dad, were you always this disciplined? I'm like, no, honey, I'm 46. I was
Yeah.
at 25. I wasn't disciplined like this.
Right.
Over time, you bump your head, you get around certain people, you seek wise counsel, and you begin to get better. So for me, when I think about financial literacy, when I graduated from college, my mother, she said to me, son, I was doing pretty well in corporate America. You need to have a tax shelter. I said, well, what's a tax shelter? She's
Hmm.
like, you need something that's going to protect your income. You're going to get taxed a lot.
Hmm.
I said, well, what are some examples of tax shelters? She said, the first one is real estate. Now, my mother didn't own real estate. She owned her home, but she wasn't in real estate. And I said, okay, now I began to reach out to realtors. At the time, I was 21. So I
Right.
began to reach out to realtors saying, hey, I'm interested. Looking for like a duplex or something that I can buy. I went and seen 5 different realtors, 2 of them black. 4 out of the 5 never showed me a place. They didn't believe in. They
Wow.
didn't believe that I could do it. Never seen a place. There was one gentleman named Henry Kellum, older gentleman, that taught me a lot of game about real estate. When I talked to him, within 24 hours, he had me looking at 6 duplexes.
Mm.
He was on it. Go get her, go get her, go get her. I bought my first duplex. What I began to understand is wealth begins to accumulate with real estate. Real estate is one of the biggest assets for wealth accumulation. I didn't get into this millionaire club before real estate. Real estate brought me in there because it starts talking about your net worth, right? And that's where a mindset shift.
Hmm.
Having 100,000 cash is not wealthy.
Right.
Probably shouldn't have that much cash to begin with, but it's again, it's a mindset. We have to change our mindset on what we're doing and what we're calling wealthy. So what I wanted to do when I learned a lot of information, I began to accumulate more real estate since then, but I wanted to begin to take this information and I wanted to originally talk to my family members about it
Okay.
that didn't do make the same choices that I made. I wanted to talk to them about try something different with your money, right? However you're getting the money, what if we could do something different with it, allow it to grow for you? It kind of fell on deaf ears. Then I went to the church. I
Mm.
said, you know, it'd be kind of cool to have a financial literacy segment in church. What if we could tie the scripture with financial literacy and understanding that? And so I was able to lead a session, right? So we did it for, I don't know, like a 3 or 4 week session, and people were responding to it. I was like, this is great. Then we had this big, we call it Chain Lake, and it was multiple churches. And I taught a very small course
Okay.
on it. And I said, you know what? I really like this. I partnered with a local community credit union. And I said, this is really, really cool. So when I moved to Texas, I said, I don't know anybody. How can I do this? I went on a local talk show to talk about my book. And
Okay.
I seen a gap in my community. And I said, you know what? I called the producer and I said, what if we had a financial literacy segment on this talk show?
Wow.
Would you be open to it? She said, sure. Like, what would it look like? I said, well, I would look at this, but give me some time. Let me put together a schedule. So I built out a 12-week course for financial literacy, starting with week 1 was just fundamentals of budgeting. What does financial literacy even mean? How
Hmm.
do you budget? So I think it's important that I wish we could do it in school. I'm starting to work with a couple of schools. Is how do you get financial literacy ingrained in our mindset, especially in our community? How do we get that so we understand the value and what is credit? What does it mean? What is the credit score? How do you get your credit report? Like all those basic things that we're not taught. And typically it's taught by people that know it. But if your parents and the people around you don't know it, they can't teach it to
You
you.
can't teach it. Right.
Right. So that's why I think it's very important that we become financial literate. We understand finances because a lot of times, especially in like Wall Street, it doesn't matter what you look like. They don't care. It's really, can you put money into a portion, a piece of a business,
Hmm.
and are you getting into the right blue collar businesses or blue chip businesses to grow? It doesn't matter what you look like. You're not meeting with a Vanguard person when you or Robin Hood when you invest $1,000. Like you're not meeting with them. It's do you have the money and are you investing it? So that's why I think it's important that we understand how money works, how financing works, so that we can understand compound interest, which is our best friend.
Which is our Best friend. I've learned that. I'm telling you. And now
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. My wife and I, we were the ones that came up through like the hard knocks, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we came from two families, two sets of parents. The truth of the matter is, I'm going to share a little bit more about who I am as
Yes.
you guys are listening in on this conversation. Um, One set of parents were doing illegalities
Hmm.
to get the money, and the other set of parents had a legitimate business for 23 years.
Yes.
But it took a little bit longer to make the million, right?
Yep.
And so they didn't know about the credit. They didn't know about all of those different types of things. All they knew was what they knew.
Yes.
So by the time we came of age and we were ready with ideas and things like that, we're naturally entrepreneurs. We're naturally just innovators. When we came to that point, we found that there was no knowledge, no wisdom, no understanding that had been passed down to us only
Mm.
by way of the Holy Spirit and the things that we would go and research and learn ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
And so we, especially in our 20s, we married young. We, started having kids, but at the same time was trying to build business and, different things. So we came up through the hard knocks of
Yeah.
making the wrong choices, making the wrong decisions, but living in the tension of, and this is going to lead to my next question for you, Eric. I'm interested in hearing your perspective on this. But we were forced, I think, to have to live in the tension of brilliant mind, brilliant concepts, strategies, and ideas. We know it's going to make millions if and only if we have the right investment or
Yes.
investors or partners or what have you. And we didn't always have that because we had to bootstrap it from the ground up.
Yes.
What do you say to those individuals who hear you and they say, I want to be financially literate. I want to learn these things. I want to know what is a tax shelter. Okay, I want to learn how to go and get those things done for myself, but I don't really have the money to invest. I don't
Yes.
really have even the time. I'm swamped. I'm inundated with life. I've got to go work this 9 to 5. And I
Yes.
really don't want to be here because I got a mind to build something, but I don't even know if I'm ever going to get there. What do you
Yes.
say to those people? And is that something that you can kind of understand as far as perspective?
So I love your story, and I'll tie in something, and then it'll tie into your story. Is
Hmm.
I think a lot of people, when they go to church or they hear about Christ, they say, "I'm going to get myself right first, and then I'll come to Christ.
Mm,
I got to fix some stuff, and then I'm going to come to Christ." When actuality, Christ wants you to come, and you're going to fix yourself up as you're in Christ. So
right.
when you say, I want to be financial literate, I want to learn this, what happens is I'm waiting because I don't have all the answers. I'm waiting. You would have never launched your podcast if you
Hmm.
were waiting until the perfect time. I
Right.
would have never jumped into real estate if I was waiting at the perfect time.
Hmm.
My Hamilton Estates, the business, and all this other stuff, if I was waiting on the perfect time.
Hmm.
You have to be intentional. We all have the same amount of time, 24 hours.
Right.
What are you going to do with those 24 hours? Check this out. If you think about the way our day goes, the East Coast folks and the way the stock market works, and I'll get back to answering the question of the way the
Hmm.
stock market works. So California is 3 hours behind New York, right? Central.
The
Yeah.
Eastern time zone. Yeah.
Yes,
3 hours.
so 3 hours. So when you think about if you're in California and you wake up at 8 o'clock,
Hmm.
it's 11 o'clock. How much of the business day on the East Coast have you missed? And we're only talking about America. I'm not even talking about if you're global or international.
Right.
You've missed 3 hours of the day.
Hmm.
So it's what are you going to do with those 24 hours? That's why that 5 o'clock club makes sense because it's early. Now, if I want to, I got this quality time where I can read and research to understand how to do whatever it is I want to do.
Mm.
We have to be intentional. We can't sit back and wait and say, I'm waiting on money. It's not about money. You can become a millionaire by
Hmm.
making $50,000, $60,000 a year.
Mm.
The
Wow.
difference is it's how you spend your money. If
Right.
I make 50 grand, but I'm spending 49,950, I'm never going to be a millionaire. I can make 500 grand, but I'm spending 450 on all these lavish trips and cars and private education. You're never going to have it because it's coming in and it's going right back
Going
out.
right back out. Yeah.
What's important is how are we planning for the future? How are
Mm-hmm.
we planning? So if I am in a position where I'm making 50K, but I want to retire early, then I've got to tighten up my budget. I've got to read. There's a book called Millionaire Next Door. One of
Okay.
the first books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Millionaire Next Door. Two phenomenal books. The Rich Dad Poor Dad, if you've read that, that's kind of your story. Like you were talking a little bit about that. One parent was a business owner, the other one
Yeah.
was an educator, so a little bit different, but the concept was what they learned was different.
Yeah.
But even in the Millionaire Next Door, it just talks about how many millionaires are not making 250, 300, $500,000 a year, $1 million a year. It's they're saving and they're investing. Now,
Right.
I don't know how to invest. There are so many resources available online for you to say, I just need to find what are the top 5 companies in America? What are they doing? Or check this out. What am I wearing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm wearing, and I got an Apple phone. Why don't, instead of buying a new Apple phone for $800, what if I took $50 a week and invested into Apple stock?
Right.
What if I got Amazon packages coming into my doorstep every single day? What if I took $25 a week and bought fractions of Apple or Amazon stock?
Right.
It's simply just a mindset shift. It's never a right time. You're never going to feel like you're perfectly ready, right? It's just, I have to be intentional with the hours of the day that I have, and I got to go do it. I can't sit back and wait. I can't wait anymore. How long are you going to use that as an excuse? It
Yeah.
is action time, it's go time, it's execution. We are paid at any firm, your corporate America or whatever you're doing, you are paid to execute.
Right.
You're not paid to work hard. If you work hard and don't get results, that's not what you're paid on. If you get this podcast going and nobody's watching it,
Mm-hmm.
what is it doing?
No value.
Execution. If you're executing, now the byproduct should be working hard. But really what you want to do is I need to be able to execute. If I'm in corporate America, my own personal business or whatever I'm doing, execution is key. Working hard is a byproduct of execution.
Yeah. I think that's dope the way that you put it. And you really just simplified it because I've heard so many people. And to be honest with you, I've been that person years ago that said, don't have enough time. It's not the right, it's not the right time. Or we don't have this much money, to even do that. So that idea we'll put on the shelf, all of those things. And I quickly learned, first of all, no one's coming to get you. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to do that.
Yes.
That's number one. And then number two, you're going to realize that time is not going to wait on you. You're going to look up and time would have passed. And so while you're saying you don't have enough time, you're
Yes.
going to really see yourself 5, 10 years from now, realizing that time is not on your side
Yes.
because you have not learned how to use time as a part of capital for you as
Yes.
well. Um,
Yes. Yes.
but you
Amen.
simplified this because the way that you put it is step by step. And I'm reminded of a story in the Bible. I can't really remember the people, the particular people and group in the story, but I remember they were at battle, at war, and that God told them, you're going to win this battle
Yes.
little by little.
Yes. Yes.
And I think so many people, so many entrepreneurs, um, they get discouraged because they try to take on the entire vision
Yes.
all at once. Well, you're never
Yes.
going to get there like that, right?
Yes.
It has to be like what you said, making a decision on, oh, I'm going to take the $25 a week and little by little, I'm going to see my way out of poverty or stress or strain, or I'm going to see my way off this job
Yes.
into me employing myself. And then eventually, because for me, even that's not the goal for me to work for myself. Eventually, it's for me to chair the board and have somebody work the goals
Love it.
and the vision, right?
Absolutely.
But you got to do that little by little. What are some other strategies you talked about? And I don't want you to give the whole game because they need to connect with you and let
Yeah.
you walk them
Yeah.
through. But what's maybe another thing that you personally have implemented in your life that you invested in little by little with time or with finances or what have you that got you to where you are today?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. And I think one of the biggest investments that I made is not a financial investment.
Uh huh.
It's investment in wise counsel.
I love that.
I found individuals that could help me grow in a certain aspect of my life.
Hmm.
At a young age, it was my mother. My mother gave me game. She gave me wisdom, and I learned that from her, and I love her to death. And then, kind of moving forward, it became Pastor Bell. He changed my life. That story that I told earlier. I went from I always say, he said, good wood burn. He said, you're a good dude, but you were still gonna burn, brother, until we get you in the Christ. But he changed, right? So there was a shift that took place. And then there was my high school principal that I spent a lot of time with,
Hmm.
Dr. Joe Payton. And investment that he made in me and me into him was absolutely game changing for me.
Yeah.
He was the first man that I knew, first principal, let me say for sure, I've ever seen. He wore a suit every day. Think of the old days, Billy D. Williams. That's what the cat looks like. Big
Okay.
cat, big head, everything. Like he had this big old head.
He was
Anyway,
fresh.
yeah, he was good. Now, this is what he would do. Now, you talk about a standard. I talked about earlier, setting a standard for yourself. He would stand outside every bus that pulled up in high school, and he would shake your hand. Don't matter if it was raining. This is Michigan. Rain, sleet, snow, whatever it is. He's shaking your hand before you walk into the building
Wow.
each and every single day. Now, at the time, school had some rough aspects to it, right? It did. So he set the standard coming in. He literally, on his own, I talked to him later on, he put world class on the building, wasn't sanctioned. But what happened is he instilled in us that we're world class.
Yeah.
We didn't even know what that was. We're at track meets and football games talking about world class. We didn't even know what it meant.
Right.
But it set a standard in us at a young age that we're world class giants. We're not just Kalamazoo Central, we're world class.
Right.
And some folks kind of made fun of it, but we believe we're world class. I asked him later on, why did you stand outside? And, when we got older, why'd you do that? He said, bro, I wanted to let y'all know before y'all came in my building who I was, and the expectation was set
Yeah.
before you walked into my building. So that it doesn't matter, he said, doesn't matter what happened to you that morning. When you looked at me and I shook your hand with power, I let you know that this is the standard coming into my building. This is how
Yeah.
you act when you step into my building. That taught me when I was a youth director, I would shake hands with
Yeah.
all of my students every morning. I would shake hands, and I wonder why I do certain things. But if you invest in wise counsel and have people that invest in you, elder counsel that have been and done some of the things that you want to do, folks, it can be powerful. So I'll lend an olive branch out. If folks want to reach out to me, even if we don't have a personal relationship, I will help. Kenyon, I'm sure you're the same way, but folks have
Absolutely.
to take advantage of it. I always say, I can't want your success more than you do.
Hmm.
You got to be willing to put in the work. But I will provide you with some thoughts and guidance. So that's something I would say outside of any finance. If you can find wise counsel and invest in that relationship, it will pay dividends and help reduce the amount of friction that you may run into as you try to
Oh
accomplish
yes. Oh yes. I found that to be true. I said, okay, well, I'm tired of hitting my head on brick walls here. Okay, so it's time to ask. It's
that. Yeah.
time to ask, and when you ask the right questions,
Yes.
ask the right people, like you're saying, and be willing enough to open yourself up to learn
Yes.
and to grow. I think this is phenomenal. I wanna land it here, Eric. What would you say to a room of 100,000 people if you were invited to an arena for a
Yeah.
conference?
Yeah.
100,000 in the audience, every people everywhere, all walks of life, but they have one thing in common: they're stuck
Mm.
financially, business wise, you name it.
Yeah.
Somewhere in their life, they're stuck and they're frustrated. What would you tell that arena full of people?
Yeah. I love that question. That really makes you think. So one of the concepts that I talk about that I think is important, and the whole central idea of my book that I wrote, is that success is not accidental.
Mm-hmm.
Success is the results of doing certain things consistent, leading to that result that you're looking for.
Mm.
Success is not accidental. It happens with a series of events, a series of things that you're doing consistently that lead to that result that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that you can apply in your personal life, professional life, and whatever aspect of your life that you can. If you want to be a world-class father, it's not accidental. You have to work at it. Consistency. You have to be there. If you want to be a world-class business leader, you don't wake up and become that. It's consistency. It's doing things over and over. And when things get hard, like you got your personal business, when things get challenging, it's not okay to say, I don't feel like it.
Right.
I don't feel like it. If you want to get stronger and work out, I don't feel like working out today. I don't feel like praying today. This is what needs to be done. And so again, going back to a room full of starving folks, and I was one of those cats at one point. I'm still
Mm-hmm.
starved. I'm still
Mm-hmm.
hungry. I want to be
Mm-hmm.
a beast out here. Is I gotta do things consistently. I'm trying to reach the pinnacle of success in my version. So I have to be disciplined and consistent in my actions, and it will pay off. You are consistent putting out your content. I
Mm-hmm.
see your content. You are consistent and disciplined. You do this long enough, God is going to make sure, as long as you stay humble and stay with it, God's going to make sure this thing flourishes.
Right.
Exact same thing as anything we could think of. Consistency and discipline are two things that if we are able to master those things, be consistent, we will find success.
Powerful, man. Seriously, powerful stuff. And it's things that you don't really think about. The consistency of the matter, staying humble and making sure that you are aligned and just chipping away, at the thing, whatever the thing is for you, chipping away at it every single day and not giving yourself permission to give up. I think that's one of the biggest culprits, if you ask me,
Yeah.
that has hindered a lot of people's growth in corporate America, in entrepreneurship, or any other field of interest, is that you give yourself a way out.
Yeah.
And just for me personally, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I have to. My wife says it all the time. She says, when you get something in your eye, like when you get something in your mind,
Yeah.
you don't relent. She said, it's one of the things I love about you. And the truth of the matter is, it's what I learned from people like my principal,
Yeah.
Dr. Simpson, and
Yeah.
from my father and from other people. Like, when you put your hand to it, if you feel like you've been called to it, no matter what it looks like today, you got to get up and you got to put your hand to it again
Amen.
and
Hey,
again and again and
amen.
again. And so, Eric, this has been phenomenal, brother. I honestly, I'm just going to be real with you. I think I have, hopefully you feel the same. I think I have met a new brother
Absolutely.
in Christ. I think that this conversation has been totally impactful. Why don't you share with our viewers, how can they stay connected with you? You obviously you have the book. We want people
Yeah.
to get the book. How can they
Yes.
go and get that? Share with us all of your information.
Absolutely. So again, thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this. My website, which has all my financial literacy segments that I've done at least through 8 weeks, is on there. You can order the book and you can find out more information about me getting one-on-one consulting or coaching at the sales blueprint for success.com. The book, The Sales Blueprint, What Winners Do Differently, you can order it on the website. You can also order it on Amazon. On all the social media handles, it's Eric Hamilton Sales Blueprint. That's my handle. So I look forward to speaking to you all. And Kenyon, again, continue to do your thing. I love what you're building. This is going to be an absolute blessing to many folks, what you're going to build. So all the blessings to you, brother.
I really appreciate that, man. Keep me in prayer.
Yeah,
It is something, everything you taught today, it is something that I am having to intentionally implement with this thing that God gave me. It's his vision. So
yeah, yeah,
I'm just the vessel. So I appreciate you, man.
absolutely. My
All
pleasure.
right, man. Hang tight, Eric. We're going to wrap things up. And then I want to talk with you after this. Guys, Eric Hamilton, y'all just give it up over in the chat. This was a phenomenal conversation. I told you it was going to be great. And he delivered. He delivered. I thank you, Eric, for allowing God to use you. And thank you for the wisdom, the practicality. And you know what I liked about it, guys? I liked that Eric didn't make you feel, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, Eric didn't make you feel less than. as he gave you the game, as he began to give you the strategies, he actually presented it as if it's easy. It's just one, two, three. I love that because so many times people who want to get to the next level in leadership or wherever you are, you get intimidated because of who you're listening to and how the delivery comes. But I'm so glad that he made it accessible to everybody. Everybody can get this knowledge and this wisdom and can go to the next level. It's not that hard. All you have to do is trust and believe, and not just trust and believe in yourself, but trust and believe in the God that put you up to it. All right. He's going to pay for what he's ordered in your life, and he will order your steps all the way through it. Okay. Guys, thank you for being a part of the Global Leaders Roundtable. This has been a fireside chat like none other. I hope that you were blessed. I know that you were blessed. I know that you were impacted. And you'll be seeing Eric Hamilton over at the Global Leaders Virtual Summit, September 20th through the 21st. Y'all, hey, this was just a microcosm of what I know that he will be dropping on us and sharing. And so make sure that you meet him there, meet me there. If you want to be a speaker as well, you can do that. I'll put up on the screen after I'm off of the screen how you can actually go and become a part of that whole movement. But for now, I'm your host, Kenyon R. Dudley. This has been the Global Leaders Roundtable. This is what I pray for you. I pray that everything you put your hand to will be a great success. And if it is a God thing, if it is a God ordained thing, that you will see the full manifestation of it. And if it is not a God thing, but just a good thing that you think is good to do, that God will redirect you ever so gently so that you will stay within alignment with his will and see the full capacity of life more abundantly. See you next time.